Hello and welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast. My name is Jana Krishnan. I am your host. I'm also the founder of the Daily Lawyer. And today is yet another episode in our Daily Story series. So this series is fast becoming one of our best selling or best listened series because I think it's a lot more relatable. And that was really the idea behind which we started this series. And today we have yet another fantastic business owner, somebody I've met multiple times over the last year, and someone I've really gotten to like for what she stands, everything that she displays on her LinkedIn. Mostly I follow her on LinkedIn, so I'm sure you guys will know her in the course of this episode. I am speaking about Miss Komal Ramani Makhija, the founder of Projekt, which is a design-led firm. Komal is a graphic designer. She founded Projekt in 2018 and since then has worked with over 150 plus brands. She does logo design, all kinds of packaging, brand design. Of course, Komal will speak a lot. She'll be a lot more articulate about what she does than me. So without further ado, I'm very, very excited to jump into this conversation with Komal. Komal, welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenna. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, me too. I know we spoke before we started recording. We were thinking what we're going to speak about, but you actually have so much to say because you've been an employee that way, as in you've been an employee, and now you're you run your own outfit, and you've been doing that for the last 4 years. So enough time for you to have learned many lessons. But before we go there, can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Where are you based? What does your company do?
Sure. So I'm currently based out of Bombay. I have been in the graphic design industry for more than 15 years now. Like you said, I started as an employee. I worked with corporates. I gained my experience. And then I decided, you know what, this is not enough. And, I can do much more in a much better role. And I was very sure that I don't want to get into the race of climbing the corporate ladder. So I decided to start with my own brand called Projekt. We are a design-led studio. We specialize in designing logo design, brand identity toolkit, and packaging design.
Lovely. Just to little bit unpack what exactly you do with logo design and packaging and brand identity, because see, I have understood a lot more about what you do through your LinkedIn posts. But for someone who knows nothing about this and these are all just like words in the dictionary, how will you explain what you do?
So when you say logo is the face of your company. You know how you are as an individual. If I have to recognize Jenna or if I have to recognize Komal, I put my face everywhere. I'll put my face on my WhatsApp display picture. I'll put it on my LinkedIn profile or my Instagram profile. That is how people recognize me. The equivalent to a brand is the logo. You have to put your logo everywhere. If you see a brand, they'll put it on their merchandise, they'll put it on their social media profiles, they'll put it on their product packaging. So we define logo as the face of your brand. A brand identity toolkit is a brand cannot just run on one single logo. There are several aspects you need when you're marketing a brand, when you're dealing with customers, when you have a product to sell. And all this needs to be cohesive because you cannot use blue one day and green another day and expect the people to remember you. There has to be a link between everything. So, brand identity toolkit is defining that link for you as a business. So whether you need to use a certain set of colors, whether you need to use a certain set of fonts, if you are a brand that will use patterns, if you're a brand that will be on social media, if you're a brand that will be using packaging for your products, all those things need to be defined much before the actual, marketing starts, because everything needs to be in one line for the brand recall value. That's a brand toolkit. When you say packaging design, whenever you buy a product, the first thing you notice is the packaging. Why did you pick up a product? Oh, it looks cool. Oh, it looks sustainable. Because it matches your thought process, your values that you have towards your lifestyle. So packaging is simply that we take the mindset of the target audience. We take the mindset of the brand in what they believe in, and we take the third aspect, which is what the product actually is. We combine all these three things and we develop a design which will appeal to all three, which will make sure that it's true to the product, which will make sure that appeal to the target audience, because packaging is usually you will pick up something from a rack of say 1,000 things, right? So it needs to be appealing, it needs to speak out to you. So it needs to be appealing to the consumer, the target audience, and obviously it needs to represent the true values of the brands.
Okay, that was a good explanation for someone who knows nothing. Like I was some. So like you letterheads and creatives, will they all be part of your toolkit? Is that correct to say? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So Toolkit is something that's customized to every business. Some businesses today use a visiting card. They don't use a letterhead and envelope anymore because there is no printable stuff. They're just an online brand. So Toolkit is an absolutely customized solution which differs from each brand to the other. So it depends on what you want and how you want to take your brand forward.
So, Komal, because now you've been working for the last like you've been working for a long time, but you've been running your own organization for the last 4 years. As a business owner, what would you say are your top sort of priority items? Top 3 priority items?
Being a designer, I would want to spend the maximum amount of time designing concepts and building brands because that is what I love doing, and that is the reason I started the business. But having said that, as a business owner, there are a lot of other things that come into the picture. So my main priority is to make sure that everything else regarding the business is either delegated to an expert. I find an external agency to do it. I'll find a friend. I'll ask somebody else. My main priority is to keep minimizing that effort of doing the other things, and concentrate more and more and more on my business. So that's priority number one. The second priority, of course, is meeting like-minded people, understanding what the culture is, where the industry is going, attending a lot of different events, whether it be online, offline. So very industry specific. And the third priority is to hire the right talent. In today's day and age, it's become very difficult, especially for me. I'm growing a virtual business. I never intend to, have a physical office. It's always going to be a virtual team. So setting up systems, setting up accountability to make sure I get the right team member on board so that I don't have to stand behind their head and actually see if the work is getting done.
My God, you spoke to my heart. I feel like I say this in every episode because people say things which like they say it much better than what I can say, like that. So, but when you spoke about getting systems in place, when you spoke about delegating what you probably either you're not good at or you've not been trained for, or you just find it damn boring, just delegate it out. And I wish more people do what you do. But just I'm going to pick from there and ask you, what do you think about documentation? As in, what is your take on documentation? Because my experience is that most startup founders, whichever stage of their business they are in, unless it is very important, like they are attracting investors and somebody has told them, listen, you need all this, they don't think about their registrations. They don't think about having any contracts. Forget, it's all like word of mouth and things like that, which is a pet peeve. But what is your view, and how do you see documentation?
It's a scary word because while you're developing your business, your main concentration is on the product or the service that you're selling. You want to excel in it because only once you excel in it, you can, develop a good market for it. As business owners, I always believe we work with horse blinders. We are just so concentrated on one thing that we just completely forget that other things exist. Documentation is one such thing. And you would not believe, after being in this industry for so long, this is the first year where I actually started documenting things. Like I got my first documents made apart from the registration of the company. The registration of the company got done at the inception. But apart from that, any legal contract that I needed, any client contracts that I needed, this is the first year that I actually ventured into it. So for the first 3 years, it was all just, I just played on my luck that nothing bad happened. Because, nobody really tells us that all this needs to be in place. We are not really taught about this in schools or colleges, or there is just nobody telling us to do this. Everybody is just whatever videos you see, they are all about perfecting your product. They're all about how to market things, how to balance your cost, but nobody talks about documentation. So I think it's a very scary word for all business owners.
And what do you think, as in, I mean, of course, what you say is true. And it's something I realized only after I started the Daily Lawyer. I mean, before that, you know how it was, work would come on our desk and we would do that work. We would not go after work. But suddenly now that you are here and you're wondering, listen, like I started with so much passion, like, yes, you know, we should tell people, people should know. And then you're realizing, listen, nobody's listening to you. Like they were like, listen, I don't know what you're doing here, Jenna. I mean, great, good job, do your thing, but we are not your clients. You know, that was what is happening. That was breaking my heart because I was like, no, no, you are. Please, I'm here to help you. Uh, but anyway, what is it? What happened, Komal? That for 3 years you thought like, yeah, I don't need it, whatever. But why this shift? As in, why did you feel the need to do it this year? Is that because you suffered some loss, you had some bad experiences, or you just felt like my business is matured a little bit? Like, what is the reason?
So, you know, Jenna, I think lawyers are treated like doctors in our society. Where do you go to a doctor when you're sick? You know, there are 6 monthly checkups and yearly checkups that you're supposed to get, but nobody gets it done. And you know, when something happens to you, you know, you're like, oh, I need a doctor. So I feel lawyers are, you know, in the same, you know, set, because unless and until you don't suddenly realize, oh, I need this, you're not going to go. It is not something that's imbibed in our system. So I would say I've been lucky, touch wood, that you know, nothing, no unfortunate incident has happened to me or my business in 4 years of running. So that was not the decision to actually go and get the documents made. But yes, I did realize. So initially, you know, when I started out, I was interacting more with my inner circle. Like, you know, my clients were referrals from my ex-colleagues, you know, from my friend circle, some people I know and people I trust. Even the freelance contract workers I was working with, they were referred to me by somebody else. So it was all my inner circle, and I had no reason to think that, you know, what if things go wrong? So because that had not happened, you know, I was very conveniently sitting in, you know, being all calm about it. And this year, I started expanding my business. Expanding my business means getting contacts and networking events, and you know, getting jobs from people that you don't know. It also means outsourcing more work when you know, you don't have enough bandwidth to do that work. Now, when you're outsourcing, every time you'll not be able to give it to your trusted person. There are times wherein, you know, you need more help out from outside world. So when that started happening, I realized that, you know, if, you know, I don't say that the person will be wrong, but what if things go wrong? And especially in our industry, you know, IP is everything. It's not really a product, it's a design. And you usually work in a collaborative team process. So when I'm brainstorming with a freelancer, and then, you know, what if the freelancer goes out and says, you know what, this is all my work, and you know what happens then? What happens if I hire a freelancer, and you know, I feel that this is work is coming in and XYZ, and what happens if the client does not pay now? Because it's a new client, I've not worked with them before. So there were a lot of uncertainty that started creeping in, and I wanted a holding ground wherein I felt safe that whatever step I'm taking, I know what I'm doing. And if I start with contracts and documentation in place, you know, the other person will also start understanding that I know my business. It's not, everything is not just in the air.
Yeah.
So I think that uncertainty was, you know, what led me to finding for people who could help me document things.
Okay, lovely. So what I hear, of course, uncertainty is a very good reason, and that's because we always say that you know, having your documentation in place allows you to proceed with a lot of confidence, and that is powerful. But nobody thinks of it like that. And like you rightly said, documentation today is a scary word, which is the worst thing. It shouldn't be. It should be something that makes you feel safe, not something that gives you fear. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, clearly. But you said something else also, and you said, you know, it was not just uncertainty, but it was also because you wanted to look and sound professional. And that's why you thought that having documentations makes you look and sound professional to people who know you. Yeah, I mean, we are not talking about them, but for the outside world. And that is a very good reason. I mean, I should, I know it instinctively, but I think I should use it more when I'm in having conversations with people. But Komal, you said that you reached out to a lawyer, and I know that you did. But what would you say has been your biggest problem or biggest difficulty in finding legal help? Or did you have any difficulty? Let's just start from there.
So, again, I feel when I was working with agencies or corporates, you have a separate department for all these things. Me as a designer was just handling the design part. When it came to my business, I never thought my business is so big that I will need a legal section for it. That's the thought process. We always think of it
Very
because
true.
I have been an employee, I think of it as a very big chunk of thing that needs to happen. So that
Yeah.
was the first barrier that needed to be, crossed. That it's not really that big a section. Like I'm a freelancer, there is a freelancer who's there for small businesses, and like I provide small scale business services. Even there should be somebody who does that. So initially, I didn't know. My thought process was, if I go to a lawyer or if I hire a lawyer, oh my god, what's going to be the fee? Can my business afford it?
Yeah, I know. That's like the
Uh,
biggest. People keep saying that, oh my God, lawyers are so expensive. Oh my God.
yeah, so that was the first thing. And then I was like, okay, let me try finding a lawyer. And when I started speaking to people, my first question was that you will document something for me. What if the other person falters? Okay, so then what's the process? Do I have to invest more time and money to get that person back on the legal track? And how much more time and money? Because, I'm a small entrepreneur. I don't have like a big fat team of 20 people, where I can assign one person just to run behind one task. So what happens next? So is it worth taking the pain? So these were the questions that were holding me back. Fortunately, I'm a part of a lot of groups. So what happens is you put one message and there are a lot of supportive people that come up. And I put one message and one such lawyer friend came up, and now she is a friend, and she is like, don't worry. She explained the entire process to me step by step, and with the ease that she explained everything to me, I was like, you know what? I should have actually thought of this much before, because the big bubble is just in our heads. It's not like, you need a big fat budget to get things in place. If your requirement is small, there is somebody out there to cater to your requirement, and you need to believe in that and then proceed.
Wonderful answer, Komal. I'm going to quote you on this. I'm going to take this part of the podcast and spray it all over my Instagram and LinkedIn and all that, because, like I said, no, sometimes, like whoever I am having on the podcast, all our guests, they say the thing that I want to say in a much better way, which is one of the reasons why I love doing this. In your experience so far, because like you mentioned, you've been part of many groups, and then you also sort of changed a little bit thanks to your friend. You changed your idea about lawyers, right? You also had a lot of, and that is a negative bias that we are saddled with. That's a fact. What would you say, or what have you observed are some mistakes that people make when it comes to the legal or compliance? Or like you owned up to yours, you were like, oh, I wish I'd done this before. It was like my luck that nothing happened, but so you owned up to yours. What else do you think that people do from a risk mitigation angle? No, they don't think of their risks. So from all of these lenses, what do you think are some of the mistakes that people do?
So, like I said before, I think as business owners, we just concentrate on one aspect of things. Whether it's accounting, whether it's legal, we just forget that all those aspects are as important to a business. And, since I know my job of designing, it's actually easier for me to control the risk there, because I'm at scene. Everything is in my control. I am the expert there. So actually, if just in case something goes wrong, it will be easier for me to control the risk or the management there. But I don't think we think that way. We are just, like I said, we work with horse blinders, and we are just, focusing on perfecting that part of it. Rest everything else, I think we just don't take into account the amount, the cost, and loss of reputation that you can have if something goes bad. Of course, if somebody, I'll talk as a designer, if somebody has taken, what I've designed and put it on their social media, one, my credibility gets affected, because nobody will come to know who's designed it. They'll see it on two different profiles. So unless and until somebody comes out to me, clarifies things, nobody has that kind of time. They'll just, the trust level that you're trying to build in the industry completely goes off. So I think there is a huge loss of credibility and reputation that we don't consider while understanding all these aspects. We just feel that who will give so much time, or what is the cost, but the main reputation and credibility part is not something I think that we take seriously.
Yeah. And once, the consequences are so disastrous because everything that you work for is like gone overnight and it's not worth it. When do you think it's important to have a legal team? And when I mean a legal team, I don't really mean like what you said, like a in-house 3-4 people team. But you also just a lawyer for a small business owner, for a startup founder or whatever. When do you think it's important to have legal help, let's just say?
On day one.
Yay.
I think it's as like I've been saying, I think it's as important as every single other aspect of your business. Even if the work is less at the start, I think you should just define on things on who is your trusted person in that field. So whenever you need something, like tomorrow, if I'm starting a business, I should have someone like a Jenna on my side, and I should just tell Jenna that what, I'm going to start this. As in when work comes in, and as in when I need contracts, I'm going to contact you. But whatever you think is good for me right now, please speak up because you are the expert. So I think I would want to approach a legal team or a lawyer on day one.
Very true. In fact, I've been working with a startup. They have not started up. I mean, they're starting up. They're in the process of starting up. So they are in the process of doing all of their registrations and things like that. And we are, but they were, so I'm working with two different, okay, I'm giving you like a comparative angle, because there's one where they are 4 school friends and they are together and they're starting up. But before they even did anything, they decided to come to a lawyer. Means they came to me, but they came to a lawyer to say that, listen, our relationships are very important. Okay, like we are very close friends, and when money enters the picture, things happen, and we've been such close friends over the years that we want nothing to go wrong. So just drop, like, let's be clear, like, come, all of us, even when you're having the conversations, what is our vision, what is our mission, how do we look at money and stuff like that, they involve me in the discussions so that everybody is sort of. And I found that beautiful and extremely rare, because they were like, more than anything else, our relationship is important. And then now I am coming from the outside, I don't know any of them, so I was able to say that, these people are aligned, but this person is not aligned, and you should take him in a separate capacity and things like that, no, whatever. So all that was possible because they came in the beginning. The other group, they are 2 people who became friends later in life. They met through some common friends, then they found a lot of synergy and they decided to start a business, of which one person is completely involved and the other person was like not completely involved, let's just say. And there was because they had nothing on paper, forget on paper, they're not sat and thought about things that can go wrong, the questions that they can ask, and now there are serious problems, and then it's led to a complete disintegration of the relationship. And now you come to us saying, okay, what, like, what can we do, what, one is coming, then the other is coming, and now you're like a divorce lawyer, you're like, okay, but the mess has happened. And I always give the example of the first group, because honestly, till today, like 14 years I've been a lawyer, this is the first time that someone has come at such an early stage. So
I think they did the right thing. They
yeah,
had
they
their
did the right
priorities
thing.
right.
Yeah. But they are also, I think this is not their first business. Each of them this is probably I don't know which number business, but they are seasoned entrepreneurs. So they have also seen some things because of which now they realize that, listen, at least when you're doing it with someone who's very valuable to your life, do it properly.
I so agree.
Yeah. So now when you told me that, now that next time I start, I will have someone from day one, I wanted to say this for anyone who's listening, that it's really useful and that we are there to help. Like how your friend came and helped you, and then you're like, listen, they're not so bad. They're okay only.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
The scare is now off. Now I know if there is anything, I can just give someone a call and, they'll walk me through it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we are all there. Most of us are there only to help, and to serve. Komal, this is going to be my last question for this segment. What would you say are some of the biggest pain points in your line of business, from a legal compliance, that angle? And what is it that you would like to see in the world that would probably make your life easier in this aspect?
So I would divide the legal part into two different categories. One would be the client side and one would be the employee side. From the client side, what we usually want in a legal contract is clear definition of how we are going to proceed, set the timeline, the scope of work, if there is an NDA involved. Because when you're working with a startup and if you're working on their pitch funding presentations or their initial branding, they don't want the work to be out till they have not started marketing it. So there are a lot of NDAs involved. With designing, there is a lot of revisions involved. So usually most design houses have a clause on how many revisions and how many cost, so that the project does not keep going on and on and on. And of course the advance and how the payment structure is going to be. So these are the few things we look at when we are dealing with a client. When we are dealing with an employee or a freelancer, uh, the basic things like scope of work, remuneration, all that is there. The main point there is how to take credit for work. Because everybody knows it's right to give credit where credit is due. But unfortunately, we come across a lot of designers who take credit when it's not their credit to be taken. So how do you divide credit? What platforms you can showcase your work on? And if you're showcasing your work on a social media platform, does Komal or Komal's brand project needs to be tagged somewhere? Or what we do is we write it in the contract itself, wherein we say that you are being brought in as a junior designer. So whenever you are putting it out there, you will have to write that, you did this project in capacity of a junior designer. The creative designer was this, the head was this, the brand was this. So, at least when the client sees it or any other person sees it, they know what is their part in that particular project. So these are the two different, ways of contracts that we usually look forward, like we usually have in, a design firm. What I would want from a lawyer is to probably I would want one lawyer who would speak to both parties. Probably the lawyer can be speaking to my client and me, listen to both ends, and then come up with a contract so that no party is just saying, not reading the contract or just saying yes. Because a lot of times we are so busy, if client sends me a contract and if I don't have the time to read, I'll just sign it and I'll give it away, and later on I've realized, oh, I can't publish the work for a year, now I'm stuck. So yeah, so and with designs, if I publish a work after a year, that trend is already gone, and my capacity to pull the audience based on that work is already gone. So the best case scenario for me is to have one lawyer between all parties, and I will say my end, and the other person will say their end, and the lawyer can, knowing, being the expert, can guide us on what is more reasonable, and then both parties agree to it.
So basically, you want someone like a mediator who will be like,
Yeah,
you'll take care of the entire or everybody's interests and do what is, arrive at
fair
a
on
good,
all ends.
good compromise that everybody is happy with.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. No one has given me an answer like this ever.
Wow.
In fact, when you started speaking, I was thinking, wait, but that's not like, if I'm your lawyer, then I cannot be the other side's lawyer.
See,
That's
I
how
don't
we
know
are
if
trained
this
to think.
service, I don't know
We
if
are
this
trained
service
to think.
exists, but if my client tells me that, I have a lawyer team and, they will draft the agreement for you, I'll be the first one to hop on board, because I
Yeah.
don't have to go through the hassle. I can just tell them that these are my pain points. You make sure this happens, and best all, you can, like any which ways, that is how a contract is done, right? Nobody is stick. I can't say that these are my 5 points and I will not budge from it. That is not how a deal is cracked. You need to take the other person's, point of view into consideration. So when you are doing it yourself, why not pick one common agency and let the agency do, because they are the expert any which ways? Why do you want to take that headache on your head?
Wow, this is a very new way of thinking, Komal. I hope we are able to do it. I mean, instinctively, I was not able to understand because we are trained to be, taking care of
On
one
one
side's
side, yeah.
interests. Yeah. But I think that as the profession grows and as we become more collaborative, this is probably one of the ways to be. Good. Very interesting. Again, another reason why I should speak more to non-lawyers than to lawyers, because you give so much perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We all speak the same language, if we are speaking within our community. Okay, Komal, you've done with the main part, I think, of the podcast. The second part of the podcast I do for myself because I love listening to the answers that I get. So it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I ask you 5 of something, 4 of something, 3 of something like that. Okay. So 5 productivity tips or apps or whatever that you swear by.
Having a daily planner. I have everything from my personal appointments to my professional, to my meetings, to my habit tracker, everything on that one page for the day. That sorts me out. Second would be taking up yoga. That's helped me boost my creativity and clarity to another level. Third
Wow.
would be switching off one day completely from my work. Pick a day, whatever day works for you, and make sure you're not on your phone. Phone is also considered as work or referencing or whatever. Just switch off. Take time off. Really works for me. Recently I've started doing this. I've started putting a timer on everything. So when I'm trying to finish a task, instead of thinking that I'll finish this during the day, what I do is I put a timer as to I need to finish this within 30 minutes. So that really helps me because I can do many things at one, like in one day. I can squeeze all of it in one day. And because I know, a lot of times we try and perfect things too much. That need for perfection goes away when you have a time limit on it. And I would say take up a habit or a hobby which is not related to your field, and do it on your off day, because I think it allows you to think things from a different perspective, which actually helps you when you come back to your work.
Wow. The last 2 things I want to try. But what is your habit which you've taken up? Other than, is it yoga or is it something else?
I love photography. So I don't
Wow.
publish a lot of the stuff that I do. And I was very sure that I don't want to take a photography into a commercial space, because that is where, I have the freedom to explore. Nobody's there to judge me. I'm not making money out of it. So I can just do what I want, experiment, and just switch off.
Wow, that sounds lovely. Yeah. I should try it. Not photography
Yes.
because I'm horrible at it and neither do I have any interest, but maybe something else. I should see what else. Okay, 4 books that you'd recommend anyone read or listen.
So the first one would be Start With Why. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and we hear this all the time, that you need to find the purpose of why you're doing things. So how do you get to that why is actually defined in the book very, very clearly. The second would be Indra Nuyi's book, My Life in Full. I absolutely love it. So many inspirational things to just reread again and again. One would be Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Uh, yeah, that's more towards a little creative thinking, but somehow I absolutely love that book. So these three are my go-to books, and one would be Psychology of Money. It would be an interesting read.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just to clarify for anyone who wants to buy the books, Start With Why is by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
And Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel, that we all know. I think
Yes.
if we are going to give out some awards for the best, the most recommended books, it is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
first
I
prize,
missed that.
all a lifetime achievement award we can give. Everybody recommends. And the next
Yeah.
is probably Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. So yeah, it'll be amazing, no? If we can write to them and say, these are the most recommended books on our podcast.
And we have become the brand ambassadors for your books.
I know. Can you imagine? Okay, 3 tips that you'd like to give young students or graduates or young professionals, let's say.
Don't run after money in the first few years of your job. Try and learn as much as you can. I think that is what is going to help you later on. Upskill at all stages of your life. Don't wait for the company to promote you or a chance to fall on your lap. And the third would be, again, take a passion project or a hobby outside of your work. I think that really, really helps you see things from a different perspective, and that will help you take the leap or the risk that you require to take to, take the leap.
Lovely, huh? Again, if I have to give awards, the first thing that you said, no, that don't go after money, is
Yes,
probably the first. Everybody says that. And sometimes I feel like we were also told that when we were in our first year, like I was a first year associate. But at that time, you don't want to hear it. You're like,
Yeah,
what have
so
I
true.
studied for? I've done this, and this person is getting so much, I'm getting only so much. But it's only with age and experience. Not that we are very old, but we are older
Yeah.
than the people who are.
We have started off, and I so agree. I've been told this by so many people who are close to me. And when I was starting off, especially my own brand, my own agency, people were like, don't look at the amount the client is paying you, look at getting good clients. And I'm like, what rubbish. I need a number at the end of the month. That is what keeps me going. But there I am again, 4 or 5 years down the line, and I feel that's a mistake. You realize it much later, but if somebody is in the headspace of taking the advice, I think that is something they should follow.
True. I will also endorse this advice, because I also understand. Now we understand, and now we wish so people don't make the mistake that we made.
True.
It's a long game, right? Yesterday I was telling somebody, she's just passed out law, and I was telling her, in our profession and even in yours, Komal, because your success depends on you. We have to play the long game. We should not, like, we are not one pataka that we burst and then we are disappear.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So I was telling her, just relax. You're going to live till you're 70, 80. You can work till then.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
be in a hurry. But yeah. Okay, on that note, 2 life lessons that you have learned.
Wow. Um, the first one would be ask for help. I think I didn't do that for the major part of my life. I am not somebody who is okay going up to a random person and just randomly asking for help. I feel very shy, and I always have this thing: what will the other person say, and why would they help me, for starters? But just try it, and you'll be surprised with the amount of support and kindness you see around. And for you, it may be a big deal asking, but for the other person, it may just be like a minute's work. So ask it. It really changes your life. The second would be learn to let go. I think we hold on to our failures, our successes, our conversations too long. Um, I think we just need to learn to flow with what's coming towards us rather than just holding on to things.
Beautiful. The second one is something I'm also trying to learn. I liked how you said we hold on to our failures, our successes, and conversations. It's very nice. Uh, Sometimes when we say let go, we only think of the painful things in our lives,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's important to say even our highs, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be momentarily. The next day, you have to get up and you have to work to again get to that level. That
Absolutely.
success is not going to be constant if you don't get up and work.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to take one day at a time and do our best, and then just go off to sleep with a happy heart that, okay, I did my best.
Yeah. Lovely. Excellent lesson, actually. And on that note, what is the best advice that you have received?
Wow. Yeah, I think it was to build a life so that I can go home and sleep peacefully at night. When we were growing up, I'm from a business family. And we have seen a lot of ups and downs. And when we used to sit with our parents, our elders, and we used to discuss, and see, they have seen a lot more than we have seen. We have, like, our generation is still more like, there are a lot of comfort available, and the struggle is less. They always used to say one thing: do only so much so that you're happy at night and you can go off to sleep. Don't take so much stress. Don't do so much that, while you're going off to sleep, you're scared about something, you have a fear about something, you're unhappy about what you've achieved. So make sure that there is the right mix of everything so that you sleep peacefully. That's like the key to a happy life.
Very true. Very true. I think more number of us, me included, have to absorb this one aspect, because I think somewhere, no, we are being conditioned to, like, you've seen the movie Tal. You know
Yes,
how, like,
yes,
hustle karo, like that.
yes,
We should
yes. The
also
hustle
be,
culture is too hyped.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, today with the exposure of internet, we see so many successes around us. We just feel that is what it is supposed to be.
yeah.
And that's not even true half the times. We just
Hmm,
see one part of it.
that's true. Yeah, now that we are, at least we are being more active on social media, we realize how small an aspect it is of our lives.
Exactly. You know, and when you follow somebody and when you look at somebody's life, we feel that is it. That is what they do.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing else to their life and they're not facing any struggle. But when now that we post on LinkedIn, you know, especially, and when we write those long articles, we know that, you know, that's just one task done in the day.
Yeah.
We have so much more to conquer.
Yeah, I know. And many of the times when you're writing or posting on social media, it's all planned. Like, it's like, I'm going to talk about A, B, C, D, whatever. But that's like done. We plan on one day and then we post and finish. But the rest of the days we are still working, and some days are hard. Some days, you know, everything that we've planned doesn't go the way it has to go, and everything you're not posting on social media. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's just one small tiny fraction of your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that is important for all of us to remember. Komal, thank you so much. It was such a nice conversation that I don't know how time passed. I told you that we'll do it for half an hour, but we've clearly overshot that time and we've kept chatting. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. We will link all of your handles and project and your website and everything in the show notes. So that's for sure. But anything else you want people to tell you, you want to tell the people how they can find you, how they can support you?
So yeah, we have a good presence both on LinkedIn and on Instagram. On Instagram, we go by the name by Projekt, which is BYPROJEKT. On LinkedIn, we go by my name, which is Komal Ramani Makhija. Very active on all platforms. Feel free to, you know, message me, follow me. If you have any questions, just drop in a DM. I'll be more than happy to answer. And thank you so much, Jenna, for inviting me. I had a lovely time chatting. And I'm so glad I have a new lawyer friend now that I can call up and say, you know what, I'm stuck, help.
Yes, anytime. Happy to help. Bye, Komal. Thank you so much. See you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Bye.